Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be interviewing a comedy peer of mine from San Francisco. Her name is Pam Benjamin. She's the director at Mutiny Radio. For those of you who don't live in San Francisco, Mutiny Radio is a podcast slash radio station out there, and a lot of unique comedy acts and diverse comedians have shows on the air at Mutiny Radio in San Francisco. And today we're going to talk to her about her career and how Mutiny Radio came to be and how she got involved with it and all that fun stuff. And it's going to be pretty cool. She's a very funny, quirky comedian. I've watched only videos of her, and she has a very infectious smile, and she's very blunt and quirky on stage, and she's very, very funny. And I'm pretty excited to talk to her about it today. And tomorrow is 4th of July, so happy Independence Day to all you people out there for what's left of America. Yeah, I'm here to make America the 80s again, so sue me. Anyways, here is my interview with Pam Benjamin.
This is Pam.
Hey, Pam, welcome to the show.
Hey, Tommy Kovac. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure. How are you?
It's been a crazy morning with World Cup. So things are, my Swiss team got knocked out, so I'm a little bummed about that. But England just won in overtime. It was an exciting game with penalty shootouts. World Cup! So yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big soccer guy because when I was a kid, everybody could play it except me. And in my area, my school, like if you weren't a kid who played soccer, you weren't cool.
Who did I lose you? I heard my area, my school. Hello?
Hello?
Enough to call us. I'm not hearing you.
Hello? Hello?
No, okay, there you are. Hi. The last thing I heard was at your school.
Yeah, at my school, if you didn't play soccer, you weren't cool. And so I've always had kind of a resentment towards soccer.
I'm not watching the World Cup because I like sport as much as I like watching really hot 27-year-old men literally make their goals. Talk about millennials making their goals.
Oh, that sounds good.
TikTok guys running around. I mean, come on. The two sports I like are basketball and soccer. And it's like, why would I like those sports? Because they're wearing the least amount of clothing.
Yeah, and they got stamina.
No pants.
Yeah, they got stamina.
Yeah, and tummy muscles. So anyways, that's why I like it, but,
Yeah.
So what are we going to talk about today on the show?
Your stand-up career to this point and Mutiny Radio.
Okay. Oh, my stand-up career. That is so generous of you to call it a career. This is a fortuitous time because my 7-year anniversary of doing stand-up for the first time is actually coming up this month. It was July 17th, 2011 was the very first time I did stand-up at Amnesia. It was Amnesia's open mic, and it used to be called the Red Light Open Mic, and now it's still going on Tuesdays. Chris Canasser runs it with Moon Show. But I'm going to be on that show for my 7-year anniversary, so and it's like on a Tuesday this year. So
nice.
But it's been 7 years since I started telling jokes. Yeah.
So.
And it seemed like that long.
Yeah. So did you always know you were funny growing up?
I thought I was funny, but no one else thought I was funny. Everybody else thought I was loud and annoying. So I was made fun of a lot. So I got the opportunity to learn how to have a sense of humor about it. I was kissing my boyfriend goodbye because I thought I'd have a good day at work. We've watched like over 50 games now. We've watched almost every single game in the World Cup. We're just blowing off work. We're like, fuck it. Anyway, but yeah. So as a child, I worked. People didn't. This actually plays into the Mutiny Radio thing. My family never really listened to me, and they'd always be like, we hear, you're loud, we hear you, shh. And I was like, yeah, but you hear the volume of my voice, but you aren't listening to what I'm saying. And so I didn't really feel listened to or, like, agreed with. But that also sort of went out into school. I was always kind of an oddball, kind of a weirdo and loud. I'm like a loud weirdo. So
yeah,
I didn't fit in with people. I think that's kind of common for comedians. You're trying to be funny about your surroundings, and there's an observational distance that you get when you're not like part of the group.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a philosophical treatise on why I became a comic. But yeah, as a kid, that was the other thing. I was classically trained as a ballerina since I was 3 years old. I did ballet for 23 years. I did tons of musical theater. I was constantly on stage as a child. So performance was always part of what I was doing. I played piano for 13 years. And I just done all that kind of stuff. And plays. I was in all the plays when I was a kid, and then theater. So performance was something I really enjoyed doing. But it wasn't until I was 36 that I was like, you can write your own script. So there we go.
Well, were you always a fan of stand-up when you were growing up?
Not really. I would say that the first stand-up, and this is so embarrassing, the first stand-up that really influenced me was like Ian Cook and Dimitri Martin, like really like, I don't know, just that time in the early 2000s. Also, Crank Yankers, like,
oh yeah,
or even farther back, the Jerky Boys. Like, I would say that the comedy I liked as a child was like the Jerky Boys, so calling people up, the Egyptian magician, and all that stuff. Like, I was really into that. And then Crank Yankers, I saw Jimmy Kimmel's project with Sarah Silverman and all the rest, and Adam Carolla doing hilarious voices. Like, I was very influenced by that. And then later on, I found, like George Carlin, and I still like I like Richard Pryor because what he does with an audience, and some of his, he's maybe even still a little too edgy for me, but that's just because he uses the N-word so much, and I don't know how to react to that word because I'm a white lady, and I don't know if I'm supposed to like ignore it or take it in or think it's okay or think it's not okay, but I can't use it, and I don't want to use it.
Yeah.
And I get it, like all that stuff, like when I'm watching comedy, that can, it's just, I wouldn't call myself a huge fan of comedy, and that makes me a dick, but it's mostly because I'm jealous, and I feel like their material will influence me. Like, I haven't watched any Netflix specials recently that have come out with, like, comedians.
Yeah.
I tried. And I was like, and I hate to be like, I have a huge ego and I'm really good, but I was like, I feel like I could have a Netflix special at this point. Like, how does this person get it? You know what I mean? So it's hard for me to watch that because then I need to over-critique it. It's like I just can't even enjoy it because there's so much surrounding it, like I don't know, like how are they famous? Like how did they get a Netflix special? And how, like, it was like I want to be like, how long did you work? Are you making that up? Is that a joke? Like, what did you? I need like baseball cards with comedians. Like, when did you start? How long have you been doing it? What are the clubs that you know? Like, I don't know. Anyways, I'm off topic. Get another question.
Okay, so you started doing stand up in 2011, but what did you do for years before that? I have a bunch of degrees.
Mm-hmm. I have an undergraduate degree in theater, specifically playwriting, minors in lit writing and dance. And then I was a school teacher for many years. I taught special education students with emotional disturbance. I did that for like 4 years. And then I started my own theater company in San Diego. And so I produced and directed all these plays. Mm-hmm. And then before that, I did a lot of stage management. I've stage managed over 50 musicals. Like, I've done a lot of theater. And I have a theater company, and then I stopped that, and I sold out to corporate America, and I, got a Lexus. And then I divorced my husband because I was like, fuck this bullshit. Yeah. And I moved to San Francisco, and then I got into graduate school for writing. So I was older than most of the other students, but in 2010, I got a master's in fiction, and in 2012, I got an MFA in poetry. So I basically have a bunch of pretty pieces of paper framed in my kitchen. Mm-hmm. They're totally meaningless. But because I did poetry, I did all of these open mics, and I was at Amnesia all the time. And then I was doing poems, and it got to the point where I'd be like, no one's listening. If I take off my shirt, will you listen to my poetry? And people were like, yeah. And then people were laughing, and they thought I was funny. And I was like, oh, other people tell jokes here. And then I just realized there's so much more stage time in comedy. So I switched from poetry to comedy because I was like, well, I'm writing anyways, and poetry is like you're trying to elicit an emotional response from your audience or from who's reading it. Mm-hmm. It's usually like sad, happy stuff. But comedy is you're trying to elicit the emotional response, laughter, and that's a lot more fun. No one wants to hear a joke about my third abortion, but no one wants to hear a poem about my third abortion, but the joke is hilarious. But I've only had two. The third's just for comic effect. But yeah, well, that's kind of like the brief history. And I started doing radio in 2008 when it was Pirate Cat. And then it fell apart. And then other people took over. And then that fell apart. And I was like, I can do this. So, and I just got out of graduate school, and I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do? I'm going to get a job. What am I going to do? And so I just took over the station. So I've been the director since 2013, so 5 years. It was 5 years in June, actually, that I took over. So now I do that. And it really is the same as theater. It's just easier because there's no set, there's no props, there's no costumes. It just sounds up and acting. And so it's theater of the mind. And, I really like the flexibility of Mutiny Radio and of podcasting and of, that kind of performance. So that's the brief history of Pam.
So what year did you get to San Francisco?
I moved to San Francisco. So I was born in Danville, which is a Richie Pants white East Bay, in between San Ramon and Walnut Creek. Or I should say where the BART stations are, in between Dublin and Walnut Creek, because Richie Pants people didn't want the BART. In the 70s, they said, we don't want your riffraff coming down the 680. Anyway, so I grew up, right in front of Mount Diablo. It was super idyllic upbringing, had a lot of money, except that I didn't know. Everyone else was so rich that I thought we were poor. But now I'm like, we were fucking so rich. But, so I was a poor little rich girl because I didn't know. People make fun of me because I drove a Hyundai instead of a BMW. And I'm like, it's a brand new car. And they're like, you suck. So, that was weird. Just people with money suck. Anyways, and I used to be one of them. But so I grew up in Danville, and then I went to college at UC San Diego, and then I went back. I've never left California. I went back up to Davis. I was married for a while. My ex-husband was a veterinarian. So we were in Davis, and I taught up there. And then we moved to San Diego for a long time. And then after I divorced my husband, I came up here. Mm-hmm. So I'm coming up on my 11-year anniversary. I came in 2007. It was October 2007 is when I arrived in San Francisco. And I'm never leaving. I fucking love this place. Oh, I'm allowed to swear, right?
Yeah, you can swear all you want.
Okay, cool.
I started comedy in 2006 at the Brainwash, and I was there consistently until 2009. Then I quit comedy for a year, and then when I got back into it, I became a Silicon Valley comedian because San Francisco was just too intimidating and tough for me.
Really?
Yeah.
The Brainwash was so welcoming and friendly and kind. I feel like 25 always gave just really great intros and brought everybody's attention. And
it was, but it was kind of crazy at the same time. There was a lot of crazy people hanging around, and I was always afraid that something was going to happen. It never did, but that was the only place I could go at that time because there were no open mics in my area. because I'm from San Mateo, and there was no open mics in my area at that time. And then when I got back into comedy, there were open mics everywhere.
Yeah, but now, it's so insane how many there are now. Like, you can hit, on a Monday, you can legitimately hit 5. Like,
yeah.
And sorry, I'm at the station, I'm moving the trash cans out. You can, on a Monday, you can hit 5 mics now. On Tuesday, you can do like 4. I don't grind that hard anymore, and not because, like, I've been doing comedy for a long time, so I don't have to do open mics. It's not like that at all, but
yeah.
I run so many open mics, and I have so much time on the radio, and so much time spent, like, practicing my craft, and I don't anymore do, like, I used to do, like, and I'll grind hard every, like, once a month or once, I'll do, like, 10, 12, 15 in a week, besides the shows that I'm running, and I just, like, hit as many mics as I can, and I don't know if that's necessarily, like, helpful even at this point, because, like, if you're hitting that many mics that all the, and everyone else is, and the only audience is comedians, like, what's the point of doing your jokes 5 times for the same audience that doesn't care to react to you? You know what I mean? So it's like, at this point, I'm kind of like, I only do open mics if I feel like I'm specifically working on some new stuff, or, no, that's not true. I like doing them, but I don't, like, try as hard as I used to.
Yeah.
So that's what, I mean, does that make sense? Like, and I don't want to, again, I don't want to be like, I have this big ego, like, I don't have to open mic anymore because I can do so much. It's not like that. It's but also, like, here I am in my radio station right now, and if I felt like, doing a 50-minute set, I could do that if I felt like I needed stage time and needed to be, I could put little masks on the chairs and pretend people are here and do it, so
yeah.
Once you have access to sort of your own, it's like having a kitchen, in your apartment, or if you, that's a terrible metaphor, but I can get things done here if I feel like I'm not performing enough. And, like, if I'm like, I didn't get a stage time this week, and I run a showcase every Friday, so, if I want to do 20 minutes, I can. I can just say, I'm going to do 20 minutes tonight, or I'm going to do this, because it's my fucking show. And, nothing stopped me from doing that except myself. There's always enough time, but, I don't know. I usually like to keep it to 10, because I don't want to be like, listen to me for 20 minutes of my show. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen videos of you, and I love how blunt and animated you are on stage. I mean, I'm very blunt myself,
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes from the writer background, and also that, like, the reason I do comedy, and the point of it, is really goes back to the whole poetry thing, is like, I want people to listen to me. I want people to listen to my point of view. And I feel like I have something to say, and I feel like it's important. So, I have 10 minutes of abortion jokes, because I feel like I have a voice to be political, and language is political. And if I can make people laugh about abortion, that's great, because it keeps it in the gestalt, and people are thinking about it, and then they go, oh my God, they really are trying to take away our human rights. And not, I do a lot of dick jokes too, but that also kind of goes into feminism. And I have like 15 minutes of jokes on feminism, and it's sort of my way to be political in front of people, and feel like I have a voice that matters, and that people are listening to me, and it's just very important to me. So,
right.
Comedy gives me that venue, because I mean, seriously, poetry, like, I tried really hard at it, and I have a lot of poems that are published nationally and internationally. It was a great time, but
oh, nice.
It got too pretentious,
Mm-hmm.
So listen to me because I'm smarter than everybody. And I don't want to offend any poets out there, but the guys kind of do that, so. Yeah.
I noticed, too, you have a knack for wearing very revealing clothing on stage. I actually saw a picture, and I noticed you and I have something in common. We both have outie belly buttons.
Oh, no, well, it's sort of an innie pouty. Yeah, it has like a weird lip at the top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem taking my clothes off because I'm 43. I'm almost 44. And, like, in my youth, I had some problems because I felt like nobody liked me and like things. And so I developed an eating disorder because I was like, I'll never be good enough. And I'm the same size as I was in high school. So it's funny now to look at myself and be like, damn, I look good. But, like, 20, 30 years ago, I was like, I want to kill myself, I'm fat. And it was like, it was the same thing with being rich and not knowing it. It was like I was skinny and pretty, and I didn't know it. And nobody told me. And people made fun of me, so I always thought, I'm fat and ugly, I'm fat and ugly. And, like, it wasn't that. It was just that I was hella intimidating. Like, boys didn't like me, not because I wasn't pretty enough. It's because, I fucking talked to them and challenge. I mean, I was, I don't know, ahead of my time. But, so yeah, it developed kind of this crazy eating disorder. And now I'm like, dude, I look great. At any opportunity to take my clothes off, I'm going to do. I love doing the sweet spot open mic. I love it, love it, love it at the strip club because I get to take off my clothes. And I think it's funny. I think that, and it's just bra and underwear, who cares? And I have so much pubic hair. It's like a hair skirt. It's like you can't see anything anyway. And I don't shave my legs. I don't shave my legs, so it's like, what is sexy? So even when I take my clothes off, it's still like a feminist display of saying, like, this is my body, I own it, I like it, and this is the way it is. I got furry hair crawling down my legs, I have the leg hair of a 12-year-old boy, like, I shave my armpits the other day, sorry, feminist. But, and I any opportunity, anybody out there, you want to book me for an underwear show? I hosted the show at a nudist colony, and it was so fun. Like, and I was just naked the whole time. And the only time I was really uncomfortable is when I wasn't on stage. When I was like sitting down in the audience, then I was like, oh my God, I'm naked. But when I was on stage, I was like, I am performing. This is my performance.
Right.
And it felt different. So, yeah, I love taking off my clothes. So there's that. And some people might say, oh, but and I'm starting to, and I have tattoos, which I like, but I'm starting to get, my arms. I should probably do some push-ups or something because I'm getting those bye-bye arms when you, like, wave your hand and the waddle double waves for you underneath. But, I gotta own it.
Yeah. So you've been at Mutiny for 5 years, you said?
Well, as the director for 5 years, but I've been doing shows here since 2008, so 10 years.
Yeah.
Is how long I've been doing radio.
So,
and I've never done radio before that, or podcasting of any kind. I've just done theater. So I've been a stage manager and I've run boards and stuff. So learning the technology behind the station is super easy because it's analog. I mean, it's up and down, it's down. You just got to know where your channels are, your inputs. And, so 10 years in radio, 7 comedies, 5 as the director, and just trying to keep it alive. Like, hey, everybody, go to our website and press that donate button because our rent can't raise, and, it's the way Mutiny works is it's a pay-to-play model. So people that have podcasts pay $100 for a month, and they get, a weekly 2-hour slot, and they come in and they use the space, and we house their stuff on our website, and we create an RSS feed for them so they can apply to iTunes, to Stitcher, blah, blah, blah. But that's kind of how we stay alive, and also with the comedy shows are super important. Every Friday, Fantastic's Comedy Clubhouse from 8 to 10, $10, and it's always great. And it's the same comics that you see at the San Francisco comics that you would see at the Punchline or any other book shows. We're all pretty much working off the same comics. So, and people are funny here. I really do think that San Francisco comedians are. I mean, the Bay Area, there's how many of us? Like, there's probably 500 in the Bay Area total, but in San Francisco proper, I'd say there's like an army of 215, and people are they're funny. People, I get bored of like Tinder jokes. I'm like, come on, like, really? We're still doing Tinder jokes, but I think it comes with the tax, it comes with the territory.
Yeah. So what do you think about certain radio shows that are on Mutiny?
one is, I have so many favorites, but Flat Black Plastic is this guy who doesn't have a cell phone. And he only plays vinyl. And he like mixes vinyl, and he plays. Last week he played an old record of Dune, like the book being read by English people, Dune, and he played it over this crazy music. And it was, he melts things together. It's just always a soundscape. And then he also plays music, like regular music. But then he like sometimes slows the pitch, or like he'll play a Metallica song, and he'll slow it way down, so it'll be like, you know, or that's the wrong. That's my friend made a comedy of it, but he slows it down and makes it weird. Flat Black Plastic. I mean, we have everything from like straight music, which is like Flat Black Plastic, to there's some karaoke hosts that host a show on Thursdays from 3 to 6 called Afternoon Delight 6.9. And they always have like weird guests, and sometimes they sing karaoke, and they have this truffle guy who shows up. It's just, they're just wacky ladies, and they talk about weird stuff, and they're a lot of fun. And then we have so many open mics, like True Hustle has an open mic here, so when the Brainwash closed, I asked True Hustle's Anthony Medina, I was like, do you want to just come and host it at Mutiny? And he's like, hell yeah. So, you know, we brought them here, so we have an open mic on Thursday, one on Friday, one on Monday. And then we have a lot of like comedy talk, but Tuesday nights it's all music again, and if he plays like local music, people send him stuff, and there's a show that these guys just talk about motorcycles. Actually, we have 2 motorcycle shows now. Like, I'm like, really? Okay. The thing is like, oh, and there's a new girl in training, and she's a psychic, and she's gonna do a call-in thing, and she's a fucking psychic.
Oh, cool.
I'm like, this is gonna be fun. So, and we can swear and do whatever. So it's weird. Like people can. We have a sex show too. That one's weird on Tuesday from 8 to 10. And the reason that I painted the windows is that when they came in to do their show, they walked in and they looked up and they're like, "Is that beam weight bearing?" And then they do things like they have the dildo manufacturer come and they do like tests, and they really take off clothes, but they're crazy, right? It's a sex show, and they talk about like cult regarding sex, and they talk about all these different like fetish communities, and anyway, I mean, we do it all here.
Yeah, speaking of that, my friend Paul Brumbaugh told me he tried to get you to use a dildo on air once.
He did. He wanted me to use the Sibian on his show, The Edge of Insanity, when it was at the other station. And I kind of considered it. This was years ago. So this was before I had my current boyfriend. But my ex-boyfriend at the time, former comedian Aaron Barrett, who's a great guy and great, fun, wonderful man. He was with me on that interview, and he looked at me, and he was kind of like shaking his head, like, "You aren't going to do this, are you?" And they were like, "Give him the control. He can have the control." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you guys are going to be watching. Like, I can't." And they were like, "Well, you just put the skirt on and you just get on it." And I was like, I don't think I can handle you guys watching. I was like, maybe if we go in the other room with a microphone, that I'm fine with. But like, I don't think that I'd be able to come with people watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would probably just be like uncomfortable and weird, and I'd be like, I don't really want to do this, just because it would be. Nobody wants to see that face. Like, I mean, I guess people do want to see that face, but like, I don't want Paul Brumbaugh to see that face.
Oh, I had a girlfriend who used to watch me rub one out, and she used to laugh at my face that I made when I did it all the time.
Oh, do you have some PTSD from that?
Did I what?
PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder.
I'm sure she does.
I would have all the time if someone was laughing at me while I was coming. I'd be like, I mean, I don't know. It depends if they were.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's bringing, that makes me, talking about jerking off in front of people, it makes me think about Louis C.K. And like, I think it's funny that that's like what he was after. And when the girls go, I was grossed out and I shouldn't, and I'm like, dude, if Louis C.K. was like, can I masturbate in front of you? I'd be all, even jokes, right? Like, constantly talked about his pathetic wiener. And I'd be like, how dare I get that, bro? Like, go ahead. Like, you're a famous person. You get to do that. You know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I'm a terrible feminist.
Yeah, that's okay. So how far would you like to go with your comedy?
Well, you know, that is a strange question for me because I made a choice. Okay. I really like San Francisco, and I knew that I would like to stay here. And so rather than, if I really wanted to be like a real comedian, I would move to New York or LA. But I'm never going to do that because I've already lived in Southern California, and I just don't, I can't do it. I can't live down there. They're too fake. I just don't even know if I could handle being in the industry for real. Like people telling me to wear makeup or do this or do that, I'd be like, so that would be rough. And I didn't want to move. And it's the same thing with New York. Like, I could have gone for theater years ago and been like, I have a dream. But I didn't do that either. And not that I necessarily want to quote unquote play it safe, but I took over Mutiny Radio, so it's not like I can go anywhere unless I want to just dump this place. And I kind of made that decision because Mitzi Shore just died recently, and
Yeah.
I don't want people to go like, oh, you're comparing yourself to Mitzi Shore, but I kind of am. Like, she started, after her husband or whatever, she had the Comedy Store,
Yeah.
and she could have done do stand-up or could have done whatever she wanted. But she ran that venue for the comics and, changed a lot of people's lives. And it was, behind the scenes of people becoming, great. And so I kind of like liken Mutiny Radio to that, being that I want to stay in San Francisco. I want to be an artist. How do I do that? Well, I have this amazing radio station, and I can have all these open mics and shows and help people learn. Because that's the thing is that, like, people say, oh, well, you learn in San Francisco, and then you go to LA or New York to get famous. That's just the way it is. And, I kind of feel like I've got this place, and that's, I'm the director of Mutiny Radio. Like, I own this place. That's big for me. I feel like it's a big thing, and I feel like I can influence people's lives, not only in the comedy community, but by giving voices to other people who want to say things out in the world. And it's almost like running a community theater. And it's so funny because I used to do a lot of community theater. And this guy, Jeff Keane, he was the artistic director of this place called the Woodland Opera House. And it was gorgeous. It was built in 1896. And I did a bunch of different musicals there. I stage managed and did all kinds of things. Directed, assistant directed, blah, blah, blah. Dance captain. But Jeff had gotten he'd been teaching in Pennsylvania at a college. And I said to him, like, why are you here doing community theater? Like, why are you? And he goes, look around. I'm the artistic director of the Woodland Opera House. He's like, this is it. He's like, this is my vintage theater. I get to do 5 shows a year. I have a budget. I get to do education programs. He's like, are you kidding me? And I was like, but you live in Woodland. He's like, yes. He said, this is the goal. And so at this time I was like, I just fresh out of college. I was 21, 22 years old. And I was like, why would you do this? And like, now that I'm the age he was when I met him, like I feel the same way about Mutiny Radio. Like, people are like, what are you doing? And I'm like, this is it. Like, I got it. This is the place. It's cool. It's in San Francisco. I get to be political and influence people and help other people be political and influence people. We get to foster free speech in a crazy political time, like of unrest and scariness. And, knowledge is power. So I think that people expressing themselves is healthy and important. And maybe we don't all have to be famous and get Netflix specials. Maybe we can influence people, and do I want to be famous anyways? No, I don't even know what that means. Like, if I walk around San Francisco and people know my name all the time and I don't know who they are, and I feel like a dick because I'm like, I probably met them, but I can't remember all the people.
Yeah.
It's just too many people that come in and out. So there's, I think, so perspective. Like, I don't want to be like I'm resting on my rope, but have to remind myself that I have what I want. This is what I wanted. This is, like, I always wanted my own theater company, and now I have it. And it's an easy one, too, because you always have to do all that other bullshit. And there's less rehearsal time, and, you know, so I just have to kind of keep, because sometimes I get depressed, and I'm like, I'm nothing, I'll never be anything. Everybody hates me. I'm worthless, and life sucks. And I get very, like, boo-hoo. But then I smoke a lot of weed, and I go, shut the fuck up. You have hot and cold running water and a bunch of places to poop in. Like, you're fine. So, right, when people, there's a guy, taxes really got me down this year, and I was fucking freaked out about taxes because I had to pay them for the first time in many, many years because I own the station now, and it's like, so I'm having a nervous breakdown about my taxes I have to pay, and I'm like crying inside my Tenderloin apartment, and I'm like wailing, and I'm like, when am I gonna get a win? When am I gonna get a win? And I'm screaming. I'm like, I'm having a nervous breakdown. And then I look out the window, and there's a guy standing in front of a window and screaming, fuck my life! Fuck my life! And I was like, wow, perspective. Like, I'm screaming inside in my Tenderloin apartment. He's screaming outside. I need to calm the fuck down. Where's that bomb? Like, inside my house. With all of my things.
That's San Francisco for you. You know? That's San Francisco for you.
Yeah, oh my God, poop everywhere and people screaming. But I mean, I love it. I used to live in the suburbs, you know, in San Diego, and before I did comedy, my joke was, you know, it's so funny when I go into Costco, I think I'm going in there for some butter, and I come out with a cashmere sweater and Calvin Klein jeans. I just can't get out of there for under $200. That was like a real thing. Like, I just had money to spend because we weren't, what else was life, you know? It was like, have your friends over, make them dinner, impress your friends, hang out with people, drink wine. Like, it was just bougie. I would much rather have, you know, the excitement of people screaming on the street and hearing the bus go by and it shakes the building. And, I mean, I don't know, I always wanted to live in a city, and so now that I do, and that's the other problem, I can't leave. Because if I leave, I can never leave. I'm in a rent-controlled apartment. If I leave my apartment, I can never come back to San Francisco. But the only way I can leave San Francisco is if I fuck up so bad, or I embarrass myself so hard, or if something happens and the station burns down, something awful happens, and I have to leave San Francisco. I know that I can't come back. Like, I could never afford to live here.
Or you can start your own radio station.
But no, I couldn't. I mean, I have to go, like, I didn't see, like, where, and then where would I get the money and the I mean, it would be, I mean, this is, if I left San Francisco, I don't know where I'd go, honestly, like, but actually I can't even conceptualize, maybe I should come up with a plan B, but I can't even conceptualize leaving, and, you know, my apartment is like just over $1,000 a month. In the same building that I'm in, those apartments now go for like $2,500 to $3,000, and it's a 400 square foot apartment, and people are paying that.
Right.
And it's like, what the fuck? What the fuck is happening here? So, and that's the problem with San Francisco too, is that all these douchey millennials are making like $125,000 a year. They're spending $8 on a cup of coffee. They're buying all their food out. They're getting everything delivered. They're in a list all the time. They're like, I don't know where all my money went. And it's crazy because they can afford to, but they're not artistic. And so when we priced out all of our artists, why are people living in San Francisco? Because it's fucking cool. It's a fucking cool place. And if we price out all of our artists, it's not going to be as fucking cool. It's going to be all these douchey millennial fucks that know how to code and sell things to people, or, you know, that work at Google or Twitter and pass around like nonsense. Everybody thinks that, oh, we're really passing communication. Twitter is so important. No, why is that? So everyone can feel famous. That's what Twitter and Instagram and Facebook are about, is that it makes people feel like other people are paying attention to what they're doing.
Yeah. So
who doesn't want that? I mean, I guess some people don't.
Do you have a favorite joke of all time?
Yes, it's by Mitch Hedberg, and it goes like this. Mm-hmm. Waffles are pancakes with syrup trap. I love Mitch Hedberg. I love he's just such a stoner, and he just says like the most amazing observational things, and you're like, yeah, exactly, man. Why eat grapes? you gotta wait. They turn into wine. Anyways, that one I haven't memorized as well. But what's my favorite joke that I've ever written?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think it's got to be my consummate closer that I always close on, and it goes. I have this fantasy about being with an uncircumcised guy because I want to pull up his dick, and I want to pull his foreskin up over his dick, and I want to put whiskey in his foreskin because I want whiskey dick for real.
Oh yeah, I heard that one. Yeah.
Finally, I get what I want. It's twofold. One, I'm an alcoholic, and I like new and sexy ways to drink whiskey. And two, boys are gross, and you have to clean it all that schmegma. And that's what I end on. I end on schmegma. On every set, I end on schmegma.
Schmegma.
I'm a person, but I love that joke. So.
I love that one. My favorite joke of all time, Eddie Murphy told this one to a couple 13-year-olds in the audience in his Delirious special. A bear and a rabbit are taking a shit in the woods. The bear says to the rabbit, "Excuse me, sir, do you have a problem with shit sticking to your fur?" The rabbit says no, so the bear wiped his ass with the rabbit.
It's a clean joke. Except for the word shit, but still clean joke. Oh, I know another joke that I liked from a comedian person.
Uh-huh.
There's the other guy, the other reason why I'm a terrible feminist. I still love Bill Cosby. I've always loved Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
I remember watching his special when he's in his HBO special when he's in the brown suit and he has that whole thing about Daddy's great. He does a chocolate cake like he comes.
Bill Cosby himself, yeah.
And he's like, there's cake in this bird, and the kid, there's eggs and there's that's healthy and there's flour that's healthy, makes bread, and there's that is great. And his wife cooks cream and anyways, that whole wrong joke. He does like the best story jokes that go on, like 7-minute story jokes, and you're just engaged the whole way through, and it's clean. I mean, I'm astounded by people who work clean. I just can't even. Like, I've tried to do clean sets, and it's
Me too.
But that is great. Chocolate cake bit by Bill Cosby is one of my all-time favorite.
Yeah, mine too. I love that bit. It's a really great bit. Yeah, but yeah, I have trouble working clean too. But I do what I do. You do what you do, and everybody else can do what they do.
Right. Well, and that's it's the mentality I've been trying to pass around to people, and especially in this time of the internet and podcasting and the whatnot, is that, and especially with comedy, there's really no reason for competition because the audience has an infinite ability to laugh, and you never know what's going to make them laugh, and you don't know if it's going to be like they fucking love cats or if. But anything can be funny. I watched a guy stand up on stage and read one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish in Spanish.
Uh-huh.
And with a funny voice and a clown nose or something weird. And people were dying. So we really don't need to feel competitive with one another because the audience can laugh just as hard for you as they can for me. So it takes away the people still are competitive. So there's that. But then also now with the internet and the proliferation of that, the audience is infinite. People in Germany might be listening to your podcast. I don't know why, because they can. Because it's on the internet and anyone can hear it. So it's it's an infinitely growing audience that we just can't even understand the end of. And they, maybe Germans really love shy as a shit jokes, and they're like, oh, I love it when they. So, anyways, that's a theory I have about comedy.
Well, Pam, thank you so much. You were awesome. Have a great day and happy 4th of July.
Thank you so much, Tommy Kovac, for letting me be a narcissist and talk about myself for 40 minutes.
Well, that was the part of it.
Well, have a great day, and everybody listening to Mutiny Radio.
Yes, listen to Mutiny Radio. Have a great day, Pam.
Okay, thanks so much. Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Pam Benjamin. Ain't she a sweetheart? Thank you so much, Pam. That was... wow. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes.